Hey boys and girls, how are you? Hope you're having a fantastic day. So today's an exciting day because we're actually going to start writing our first diary entry focusing on the immigration journey that you've created for your character, their family, based on their country of either Ireland, Italy, or Germany. So let's get started and see how this is going to work today. So you're going to be writing your first diary entry, which is basically your first part of your story mountain that you created over the past 2 days. Okay, so this is basically going to be your first post-it note or your first section that you wrote about on your story mountain. Okay, so when you're writing your first diary entry, you're going to be focusing on the situation in your country. This is going to provide the setting, characters, and historical background information based on the first part of your story mountain. So one of the things that I want you to think about and reflect upon when we were in the American Revolution unit and we were writing our All About books, part of your book was writing a diary entry based on a certain event that you chose. So it could have been the Boston Tea Party or the Boston Massacre or Lexington and Concord. And you chose a moment in time and you wrote a diary entry based on that moment in time. The immigration diary entries are going to work in a very similar way, except it's going to span across the entire journey of when your character and their family leave their country to when they settle in America. Okay, so I want you to think of a diary entry as another way to write a narrative story. We're going to have the beginning, you're going to have your climax like you did on your story mountain, and then the ending and how it works out. Okay, so it's another way of writing a narrative story. So let's take a look at what you want to include. So in your story mountain on your first post-it or your first part, okay, you talked about the situation in the country that you researched, okay? What would be the reason that they're looking to leave or to immigrate? And how are the surroundings in their country? How is that affected for them that would make them have that decision? So we're going to take a look at a sample diary entry. But remember, you're going to be using what you've created on your story mountain. All right, so let's take a listen. Sunday, May 25th, 1895. So if you notice, the first thing that I did here was have a date, right? Like any journal or any diary entry, you want to keep track of anything that you're writing by recording the date. I love my family farm in Ireland. Mama and Papa spend hours a day tending to the crops and livestock. On Saturdays, I help Mama bake bread, cookies, pudding, scones, chocolate truffles, and soda bread. Then while it's cooking, Mother rests in a chair that is in the corner of the room. I go outside and help Papa with the sheep, cows, pigs, and crops. The next day, he will go and sell half of it at market. Mainly, I help with potatoes. I love them so much, and Mama cooks them in different recipes every night. Some people might get sick of having the same thing every night, but I love the new spices and herbs. So as you can see in the first part of my diary entry, I'm giving the reader a really good idea of what life is like for this character in Ireland, the things that the parents do throughout the day, her role in the family, and basically what her daily life is like. So let's go and see what the next part says. Sadly, almost 5 months after I turned 9, the Great Hunger started. Over half our potatoes are dead from a disease called blight. Mama started making strange herb salads every night. Mama, can we have potatoes tonight for dinner? I inquired, knowing what the answer would be. Eleanor, you know we can't eat the potatoes. The salads will do just fine. You'll see, Mama quickly responded. In my mind, I am already gagging, thinking how disgusting the salad will taste. Papa keeps talking to Mama in a whispering voice, so my sister Celia and I don't hear. I know they are considering immigrating to America. Mama and Papa do that whispering thing, and as I get closer, they stop talking. As I was getting ready for bed, I was looking around my beautiful room, and I couldn't imagine never coming back. Mama always says, things can be replaced. I am beginning to seriously doubt that. Another restless night. So as you can see in the second part of my diary entry, Okay, you're starting to see things change for the main character. We've learned a little bit more. We know your character's name is Eleanor. She has a sister named Celia. We know that things are changing in her country because they can no longer grow potatoes. And they're stuck with this herb salad that we found out that the main character really dislikes. And that the parents are talking about immigrating to America. And you are getting the feeling that Eleanor's really not too happy about that. Okay, as she's feeling very restless at night, thinking about possibly moving to America and never coming back, and how she's feeling about that. So today in your diary entry, you're going to be focusing on the situation of your character and their family and what's happening leading up to the decision to immigrate to America. So a few things to remember. You want to date your diary entry for month, day, and year. You're going to describe the setting, describe the situation leading up to the decision to immigrate to America. You want to include narrative and dialogue, just like we did in our realistic fiction stories, okay? You want to include character feelings, character actions, a descriptive setting. Okay, all of that makes your writing so much more exciting. So I want to take you to the historical fiction writer's notebook, just to remind you of where you're going to be writing these entries. So if you remember, we created a table of contents for you. And in the table of contents, you have your planning parts that you've already worked on and did such a great job with. And now we're going to be working on drafting your diary entries. So we're going to go to diary entry number 1, which is on slides 11 and 12. And here you are. So you're going to be typing in your diary entry on these pages. So you have this page to start typing your diary entry on. You have these 2 pages as well. You want to try to keep your font to a 12, no bigger than a 14, if you want to fit all of your writing on these 3 pages. If you have more that you want to write and you can't make it any smaller, okay, if you go back to the table of contents, there's a section here for blank writing pages. Okay, and you can use these blank pages. However, if you are going to use these blank pages, you want to make sure you clearly label diary entry number 1 and then your story underneath, just so you know what goes with what, okay? So we're so excited to see these diary entries. Have a lot of fun, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.